So I've got a full batch of the bread dough. It's been in the refrigerator for 2 weeks, and our refrigerator is very cold that we leave this in. So it's barely above freezing. Sometimes it's not above freezing. So I'm gonna dump the whole thing out, and I'm going to make rolls with it eventually. At least that's my idea. But I'm going to incorporate some butter into it. So, haven't ever done this before, so I don't know how that would work. But that's kind of how you'd make croissants or a flaky pastry. So, I'm going to try it. I'm going to flour the top a little bit and then try to get it out of there. Got that chipped out of there. I'm gonna have to use more flour than I would normally use with any of this dough. It's a sticky dough and I want to be able to roll it out and incorporate butter in layers, so it's going to have to be floured more than I normally would. So I'm gonna try to kind of put it into a rectangle. Now I'm going to try to get some butter on there. And I absolutely do not know what I'm doing here. But that doesn't look like enough to me. Does that look like enough to you? It doesn't look like enough to me.
I don't know. I thought you were going to cut it in small chunks.
Well,
Slices.
well, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, they would roll this out, the butter, like between parchment or plastic wrap, and make it flat. It's very cold. The dough is very cold still, because it just came out of the refrigerator, so the butter is actually warmer than the dough. Okay, so what do I got? Yeah, so maybe I'll try cutting it up into a bunch of little pieces, thin pieces. Huh. Oh, I probably should have left it frozen, and then I could have grated it on it. Yeah, that would have worked out great, I think. Great. Cut through butter like it was butter. So I'm not sure if there was a worse way I could have done this, but at this point I don't really care. I just want to get layers of buttery goodness in there. It's not exactly what I was envisioning, but it's not too much worse either. So I'm going to fold this over that. Yeah, with all blobs instead of one sheet. I don't know if that's going to work at all. The butter is too hard and the dough isn't strong enough to hold up to that. So putting it as chunks of butter was a bad idea. I'm going to just kind of knead it together instead, I guess. But it is definitely not what I was planning. Planning might be too strong of a word anyway. The idea. Yeah, well, if nothing else, there should be butteriness. Okay, so I'm going to make this into some rolls. Cut it up into bits and make some rolls. Give it a massage.
It tastes like bread dough.
Those are pretty big. That'd be okay. So that's what I'm going to try. And I'm going to put them on the pan close enough that they'll probably run into each other. And I'm not going to worry about that. Alright, so I've got a dozen of them, and I assume they're going to turn out like buttery messes because of the big blobs of butter in it. And hopefully they'll still be delicious. And this tray just has 8 of them.
They're looking pretty good though?
Yes, and buttery.
All right.
So I got them out. It's been about 35 minutes, or 30 minutes. Yeah, and they look good. One's already gone. We can pretend that never happened, but we're gonna let them cool before we rip any more apart. Okay, so they haven't had time to cool all the way, but they've cooled some. You can see the butteriness, and not too much leaked out, so I'm really happy with that. I thought they were going to be terrible. I should have let them rise more before I baked them, I think. I should have put them in a warm area, let them rise more, but still, it came out quite nice. I'm just gonna break one. There. Yeah, nice texture inside. Wow. Wouldn't have hurt to bake them a little bit darker, but that's a good bread. Yeah, it's a nice texture. Definitely good. And quite buttery. Yeah, it worked out quite well. Far better than I expected after I started mixing it. So there's got to be a better way, but that's delicious.